Welcome to the game room.
All right, Ranger Sandy. I did not record doing her shirt. I do apologize. The Anthonian camo shade, just a very light green wash over the Gray Seer primer for her shirt, just to give it a light green. And now we're going to do her shorts in a militarum green just to make them darker. And again, the contrast paints, put it on there, let it sit down in the recess, down in the recesses, and it'll do that shading, painting, highlighting all for you. All right, snakebite leather. We're going to do her belt and her gun holster with that. We're going to come back and do her boots and her hat later with the snakebite leather. I was thinking originally of doing a different color, but limited color palette, and I just like snakebite leather a lot. I use it quite a bit. Anyway, you want to be very careful not to get it on your green that you've already done, and just take your time and get it, get it in there. The parts of this video that are sped up are only sped up 2 times, so if you were to expand it all out, again, I want to say Sandy was probably 22 minutes, 23 minutes total actual paint time. Additional time was me trying to figure out what colors I wanted to use. But again, contrast paints, shades, get stuff done quickly. All right, tanned flesh for the skin tones, and then we're going to hit it with barbarian flesh on top of that. And as always, we'll come back later and we'll do the flesh wash on it. But we're going to start with the tanned flesh, and again, she's got a lot of flesh areas around her legs and her face and her hands. Be very careful around the shorts. If you do get some on there, let it dry, come back and touch it up a little bit with the green contrast, but just try to be very careful and not get it on there. Okay, so now we're going to do the barbarian flesh. And it's not really a dry brush where you use a stiff brush and you get most of the paint off. It's the same brush, um, and wipe off a lot of the paint, but not all of it. I missed a spot right there into the short, so I just went straight back into the tan flesh. Um, and just to get it right up under the shorts, you can kind of see a little bit of the gray sear poking through. Um, but then, we'll rinse that off. We'll go back to the barbarian flesh. And again, what you're seeing off screen is I'll get a little paint and wipe most of it off. But like I said, it's not a true dry brush. It's really more of a wet dry brush. But I'm just kind of going over it, hitting the highlights. Kind of hard because I want her to be a little brighter and not doing every part, doing the front mainly where the lights would hit. And just hitting the raised edges, not getting down into the recesses. Flesh wash will clean all that up for us and pull it all together for us later. Basilicanum gray. It's not really a gray. It's not really a black. It's kind of I don't know, blackish gray. I like it a lot, and we're going to use it for her hair. And as I've told you in other videos, I really like contrast paints, especially on hair, fur, because you can get them done in one shot. And then after they're dry, if you want to do a highlight on top of them, you can very easily. But let the paint get down into the recesses, and it really does a good job. The lower parts are dark, the upper parts are lighter, makes it look a little bit more like natural hair. Now here, I want to point out, I got a little too much on the brush, and you can kind of see where it kind of pulled around there. So quickly wipe the brush off, kind of dry the brush off, and then just touched the contrast paint, and it pulls it right off. Now, for me, it actually worked. I actually like the way that kind of grayed right around her hairline. I thought it gave it a cool shadow. But if you don't like that, just let it dry, come back in and redo your tanned flesh or your barbarian flesh. All right, here's the snakebite leather again. Now we're going to do her hats and her hat and her boots. We're going to start with her boots, and again, I mean, she's got these these high boots, snakebite leather. You could use any brown that you wanted. If you wanted them brown, you could use a really black if you want to do that. It's your model, your choice. That's the cool thing about it. I decided to just go with snakebite just to kind of tie it in with her belt, and then we're going to use for her hat as well. You can kind of see right at the top of her boots. You could come back with that later with like a lighter brown, or maybe lighten up the snakebite leather and kind of hit that with a dry brush. That would look really cool. I did not. I was going for speed and to get these done. But that's a way that you could easily come back and add a little bit more to the models if you wish. All right, with the boots done, let's do the hat. Now, I start with the underside of the hat and just be very careful around the hairline and her skin. You don't want to get brown, running down her face. So, and as you can see, when I use the contrast paints, I tend to, load it on the brush and then kind of wipe the excess off on the rim of the pot, just to, if you put it down on your palette, same thing, just kind of drag it out. For the way I use the contrast paints, you don't need a ton of it to glop it on there unless it's a large area where you're going to then move it around. So just be a little sparing with it until you get, into a comfortable level of working with the contrast paints. They are wonderful. All right, let's do the socks that are just poking up above her boots, and we're going to use Apothecary White right on top of the Gray Seer. Apothecary White is it's a whitish gray, a very, very light gray color. It goes really good over white to kind of shade white, which you'll see in some of the other videos that we're doing in this series. But here I just put it directly over the Gray Seer. All right, our flesh wash over the skin now that it's completely dried. You're gonna hit the hands, her legs, and her face, and let the flesh wash work its magic, and it'll pull those together. So in some of the videos especially, you can kind of look, especially when we're using the bright skin tone, the basic skin tone, it's really, really bright. Don't worry about it. The flesh tone pulls it all together. Works really, really well. And with that, Ranger Sandy is done. Put her on a base, and there you go, fitting in with the other models that we've completed. Actually, they're all done. But you get the point. I mean, it doesn't take long to get a good effect. And when you're looking at them from 3 feet away, they look pretty awesome. Anyway, I hope this helped. If you learned something, if it helps you at all, great. Send me a comment. Let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, and enjoy. Thanks for watching.